Hi, my name is Catherine Sauter, and today I'll be talking to you about my green energy and indigenous people research overview. Also, please note that all art in the slideshow is copyrighted to the Aaron Hansen Gallery. You can see there my 5 citations for this research, but I'd like to read the general overview of the purpose of this research, and that's to evaluate the correlations between American Indian communities and renewable energy concepts. The first concept we have is the Energy Law Journal from 2012. The main purpose of this data was to evaluate perpetuated opposition to energy development, as well as what Congress is and isn't doing to promote alternative energies on American Indian land. It's a descriptive research module. There's a great quote on there about how tribes are very actively seeking to be a part of these initiatives, which is part of my research as well. I believe that alternative energy is something that Native people are interested in. The article goes on to talk about reasons why it may seem to be the opposite, like TERRA, which is an abbreviation for Tribal Energy Resource Agreement. The overview of TERRA talks about how and why Native Americans don't take part in TERRA. In fact, no Native Americans at the time of this research had opted in for TERRA. Next, I have the Journal for the Study of Religion, Nature, and Culture. This is a descriptive module, but it was a field study and a first-hand look at the Dakota Access Pipeline as well as the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. I found that this research was crucial because this is a representation that you can see in news currently. I also really like the human element this brings. Being that it's a field study, I think that it's much less statistical and more about understanding what and how people really feel, and this ties into my research because it talks about government involvement in reservation land. I also have the Rural Sociology article from 2017. This is a great article because it outlines poverty and how poverty-stricken reservations are. So if you look there, it says poverty in these regions is 10% higher statistically compared to poverty rates in the United States as a whole, 28.4% versus 15%. So it also has a really excellent overview of poverty being patterned by place-specific characteristics, and there's 4 variables for this: demographic, work opportunity, employment, and tribal factors. I think a really interesting point of this research as well can be found in the final quotation that I put on the slide. Basically, understanding that Native American tribes have a different hierarchy and a different way of doing things. So it's crucial that we keep studying these tribes and understanding the intricacies of how they intertwine with each other, and maybe then we can understand a little better how to change things on reservation. The next article I have is the Alaska Law Review. It's my most recent article from 2018. It focuses specifically on a population in Alaska. I can't say the name, I apologize. And how they went to implement an energy plan with the AEA, Arctic Energy Alliance. The main gist of this research was the fact that this community was suffering very, very high energy costs compared to the national average, and they really want to find a solar diesel option hybrid. That can be found on page 69 for that reference. It goes over barriers and solutions and technical problems that come into play when it comes to building these types of renewable energy sources in the Arctic. Also, it came to financing mechanisms like PACE, which is the Property Assessment Clean Energy legislation. This will fit in my research because this not only is going to outline communities that may be in the Midwest, which is the majority of my research, but also communities in Alaska and what things they've come across that have been standing in their way, and also what they've actually successfully completed. There's actually a few modules or a few examples in here of wind energy being utilized in these communities. It also talks about how they get a sense of pride in the development of their villages by doing these initiatives, and I think that's really important. Lastly, I have the Arizona Law Review. This is from 2010, so it's my oldest research, but I think it's really crucial to the bringing everything together and outlining everything. A big thing in this research is it talks about TARO once again and congressional efforts for the Indian Tribal Energy Development and Self-Determination Act of 2005. Also, it talks about tax credit, non-transferable, and double taxation for non-Indian activities on reservation, which have been very detrimental to these populations when it comes to getting outside liaisons to help them build renewable energy projects. It also has 3 real examples, which you can see on the screen, and how those examples played out and how the government played a part with a Renewable Energy Act they had in place. So here's my reference slide, and if you have any questions pertaining to my research, please let me know.